It is almost 5 after the hour, and so we will be kicking this off as we only have an hour today. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today for our 2021 panel. Obviously, in any other year, the four of us would be lined up at a table with microphones and beers in front of us. But in lieu of that, we will just do it virtually this year. We're very excited to be having this panel today and to continue our ongoing virtual events that we've been putting on throughout this entire time where everyone has been locked inside. We will be continuing on for the foreseeable future until, once again, the Lucky Labrador opens up their doors and we can safely have everyone inside in accordance with state, local, and federal health officials. Just a couple of house cleaning. We have virtual tickets on sale now for our next virtual event in February on local SEO. And then, of course, in accordance with the rest of the board, we have converted all of our memberships into free memberships this year. Go to SEMpdx.org/memberships, sign up today, get into the Slack, get onto the newsletter, get all the benefits that we have of our memberships. We want to open this up from now until the end of next year. Or the end of this current year, I should say, now that we're in 2021, just so we can help support the digital marketing community in and around Portland and make sure everyone is included that we can while we wait to see everyone in person once more. But with that, I'd like to start introducing the panel today. Anna Madill, she is the president and founder of Avenue Agency. Trish Carey, TC Max Marketing, and Scott Hendison, the search commander himself, owner and founder there. And my name is Garrett Browne. I'm the president of SEMpdx and the director of paid search for Rain the Growth Agency. We're just going to be kind of going around today. If you'd like to have a question, please feel free to include it into our chat panel there, and we'll do best to assign the questions to the best person available to answer it. And we'll have a fruitful conversation today. We asked for some questions ahead of our call, and Anna, I'm going to put you on the spot to open up with. We got a question about some of the updated changes coming to Facebook, particularly around permissions, how people are going to be following business pages, liking business pages, both on nonprofit organizations as well as their own ability to connect with customers on the platform. I want to start off with you today and ask you, how are you feeling about these changes? Who do you think is going to be impacted most? And what do you think is going to be the benefits and maybe some of the drawbacks that we're going to be looking out for in 2021?
So just to confirm, is that about the upcoming iOS change?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's a great question. And our team has been the last couple of weeks and into December trying to better understand the implications of the iOS change, which actually I think I just got today. So from everything that we are seeing and what we believe is going to happen as we move into 2021 is that the iOS update is, yes, going to drastically reduce and limit data to all third-party advertisers. So knowing that this was kind of an unprecedented move by Apple in the industry and not something that was really that I think the social platforms were aware of, that it was coming with this timing, we believe that there will be loss of some key capabilities impacting advertising performance on Facebook, Instagram, and some of the things that I think will be really important to go through for clients and your own business, making sure that you are verifying your domain through the new domain verification process, making sure to do that, and going through and really categorizing and understanding what event tracking codes you have on your site. The new updates are going to limit event tracking to up to 8 key events per domain. So if you have more than that for clients or for your own business, you'll really want to go through and prioritize which ones are super important. And really setting expectations with clients. So this is a new change. It's still being rolled out. There's still not a lot of data to understand how it's really going to implicate businesses. But I think the best thing that we and you can do moving into 2021 is just making sure that people within your own business and your clients know that these changes are coming. And therefore, should probably expect a shift in data that's going to be available, which will impact reporting and other tracking capabilities. And just realizing this is going to be a big shift, but it's happening across the industry. So you're not the only one who's going to be impacted by this. And we'll have to see as we learn more. And I guess the only final thing that I'd leave it with there, as we're continuing to stay abreast changes and updates ourselves, is that depending on how campaigns have been structured, your clients may or may not be as impacted. So to kind of take a look at how you have campaigns set up and what's being reported on will be important too.
This is always kind of going back to kind of some of the things that Google does, as well as Facebook and a few other of the major social media and search partners out there. Is this just a game to get businesses to pay more to promote their own posts? Is it paying more to reach out to their users? Is there a revenue attachment for Facebook as to why they're making this change now and into 2021? Is it really just trying to go and make sure that businesses have their credit cards plugged in and they're going to need to now promote more and more of their own content, now more so than ever?
Go
ahead, Scott.
No, go ahead, Anna. I have conspiracy theory ideas, so I'll wait.
This is valid. We'll get to you next, Scott.
Yeah, I think there's always money at play. So I think there's always a financial capitalistic component to any of these changes. So yes, I think there is. But Scott, I'll let you share your theories.
Yeah, I think Garrett, on the part of Facebook, sure, they want verified businesses, credit cards, and they're making it easier. Well, that's the wrong word. They're making it simpler for people to spend their money. No lie, but I think it's a money play on Apple's part. We've all heard the rumors for the past few months, and I think it was confirmed that they're going to have their own search engine. They're going to try and be a Google competitor by cutting off access to their audience. That's a shot over the bow of the whole industry. Like, they're ready to monetize their user base. I've only been an iPhone user for about 4 months, and my next upgrade, I'm going back. There are some things I miss, and stuff that just doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
So.
That the implication with the Apple search products, as we know, that they're going to try to make, an end run around Google, is that is a multi-billion-dollar gamble that Apple is making by kind of dissolving that default Google search partnership within Google itself. Now, obviously, if there's anyone who can front the bill, I'm sure it's a multi-trillion-dollar company such as Apple, but it is a multi-billion-dollar gamble that remains to be seen, because to get in there and do the search products like that, tremendous amount of liability that can go into it. And as they ran into with their Maps products, if people don't like it from day one, adoption rates are going to be crucially low there. Trish, I want to go over to you. I think that as far as someone who's been more connected with selling products and services online, there's probably no one on this panel done more than you. And I'd like to talk to you about the last year of your life in terms of what you've really seen to be the impacts of COVID, because as most everyone on this call knows, we're still several months away from any sort of semblance of normalcy and the way people react within retail. I wanted to get your thoughts about, especially the last 6 months going from out of summer into the holiday season, and some of the trends that I think really stood out to you.
Yeah, I think when everything first started, people were everyone was scrambling to figure out how to buy everything from groceries to masks to, plastic bags. So people were a little more understanding of different retailers and brands who were trying to, I hate saying this word, but pivot to offer online experiences. But I think that's really going to change. It's been a year, so people are going to have a lot less patience for everything from when you buy your groceries, having to pick no substitute, when you try to get something specific. Companies that don't have an ease of curbside pickup won't be, people aren't going to, even if they want to support local, if it's not that easy, they're not going to be quite as understanding. I really think also brands and stores are going to need to really further the shopper's personal experience. We're in the industry, so I hate it when I'm still being tracked by an ad of something I bought. I don't think people are going to have as much patience for that as well. What else? And another thing that I can speak to my personal experience, logistics. I don't think people are going to be as understanding of waiting for a month for something that you bought from a local retailer or someone that's less than, let's say, I bought some mats from a company that's less than a mile away, and it took a month for it to get to me. I could have walked there in 10 minutes, but they didn't offer in-store pickup. So I think brands and companies are really going to have to look through their experience, look through their website. Everyone's being more and more comfortable with mobile shopping. I think that's something everyone's really going to have to look at.
Yeah, I had a client that was behind by almost 8 weeks on most of their orders as we were entering into the holiday season, kind of that late Q3, early Q4. What they found is that they had so much negative attention around this backlog and this inability to deliver products that they had to actually go out and hire a PR firm just to kind of bring everyone back in and kind of clear out some of those results and respond to all the negative feedback. And I said, well, it seems as though that investment could have gone better if you had just put those dollars towards fulfillment and not having to double down on your efforts with public relations thereafter. But there's a role for that as well. Anna, I want to ask you kind of a similar question, but I think that there is this, obviously there's been a lot of backlash towards Facebook as well as Google, but that might deliver a birth towards more social platforms or the division of them, whether Facebook is going to be able to hold on to Instagram or WhatsApp or one of their other properties throughout it. Are you kind of seeing any sort of trends that tell you that people are starting to migrate away from full reliance upon Facebook and move into other platforms outside of the Facebook realm? Or do you believe it's just kind of they're going to be that monolith for the years to come?
Mm-hmm. I think for 2021, for sure, the traditional platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, all the Facebook properties are still going to be what we know them to be today. From personal experience, I have a lot of friends, family members who are, moving away from Facebook, getting off entirely. And I'm sure there's many other people doing that as well. But from just a holistic sort of global perspective, even with everything I think that's coming down, it's going to take a lot of time. I mean, Facebook has such a stronghold across so many social platforms. There's going to be a lot of time spent on, legal proceedings to make all of this come to fruition. So for 2021, I would say for, at least a couple more years, it's going to be these big platforms are going to be the traditional platforms that we see on social are still going to have a stronghold as we move into the year. But, I do think that a lot of people are looking for other options. And I think that when there's a need like that, there is going to be something that will pop into the market that will fulfill that need. And so what that is yet to be seen. But yeah, so that's kind of where I see things for the upcoming year.
Great. Scott, I want to go over to you. One of the biggest things that kind of stood out to me at the end of 2020 was just the, it's always been kind of trending this way since probably 2015, but more so every year we kind of say this is the year of mobile. And in this later half of last year, I saw almost 2 out of every 3 users into my clients' websites coming from mobile devices, and making it so that desktop was almost an afterthought, a bronze medal within my ability to gain users. Is there anything that you've been trying to do over the last year, something you're trying to accomplish in 2021 on behalf of your clients that is going to make websites more mobile friendly and get people's, and be able to maintain the conversion rates we saw with desktop computers for so long?
I like these spur of the moment questions with no preparation whatsoever. Well, yeah, and that's physically looking at sites we work on ourselves on my phone, on my own phone. Like there's all the tools, and I have a really good free one, by the way, that simulate mobile use. A lot of them don't scroll. A lot of them don't scroll. They don't let you interact. They just show you, oh yeah, it looks okay. Getting the decision makers to look at their own website and go through the process, whatever that is, whether it be filling out their quote form, tapping to call, buying their product, getting them to do it as a user. I do a lot on my phone, and it's so frustrating to have something not work, something so simple. I was on a kitchen caboodle, got a gift certificate, and looking through they have this really neat display where you can like carousel through their featured products and kitchen gadgets, and for every price, like as you're looking there's the picture, there's description, the word $null appears. Right now, if you could go look at it, it's astounding how many people don't even try their own products. So getting clients to go through their site on their own has been remarkable for actually improving the quality. Other than that, Google Analytics is showing, if I'm not mistaken, like iPhone traffic is disappearing from Google Analytics because of privacy reasons. I mean, I think we're carrying this too far. Have you seen that? Has anybody else seen that where iPhone traffic is not showing up right on Google Analytics?
I haven't seen it yet, but I am deeply concerned around their deadlines for kind of removing some of that tagging in Q2 of this year. And how to mitigate that is somewhat beyond me.
Yeah.
In terms of just assigning custom IDs or kind of going through and backfilling that data. It's really just going to be synonymous with, we just hope we can track it under mobile and not necessarily like direct traffic or anything such as that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, with so many users on mobile and so many of those users on iPhones, you're going to see artificial declines in traffic as iPhone traffic disappears from analytics without a solution. I don't have one yet.
Yeah, and trust me, I've sat down with every partner I have, from Adobe to Google, Microsoft, everyone down the line, and everyone seems to be still saying it's on the roadmap, which is my favorite answer from vendors saying we don't have an idea yet. And so that's going to be the next $1 billion idea. But, speaking of tools, Trish, I want to go back over to you. Is there a tool that you really had over the last year that has really kind of helped you, or you saw it's new, it's out in the market, and it's really been of a great assist to you and delivering for your clients?
I always talk about the same one, so it's not a new one, which is Zapier. I just helped someone implement their CRM system, and they're using ActiveCampaign, which is contact-based rather than account-based. And it's a good product for a small company, but they still wanted to be able to look at the account to see the data. So I use Zapier to like grab all of the information from all of their onboarding forms, pulled that in, and then pushed it all to the account. So when someone runs in and maybe doesn't even necessarily know the person's name, but they know the client they're working on, they can go in and see what's working on and see all of that information.
So with Zapier, is there, they have 10,000 different connections in there. Has there been some recent ones that have been added that have improved your life or really smooth things out?
I think some of like the calendar connections, being able to connect, they've improved some of their project management connections, whether that's Basecamp or Asana or Trello, whichever product you choose to use. Being able to push notifications to different team members, that's been really helpful. And then integrating that and pushing out the like assignment dates. So based on an action that someone may take within your website, I could push that to create a reminder in Basecamp rather than having to just have that, show up in your CRM or in your or even in Slack. So.
Well, one of the questions that I had written down, and it's not something that was passed along by our amazing audience here, but something I've gotten from a lot of my clients over the last year is being able to efficiently scale digital video. And I think that one of the biggest trends that stood out with us in terms of digital video, and especially in regards to YouTube, was the explosion of YouTube on large screen TVs. And for the first time, you can actually really start segmenting these campaigns to only deliver on connected TV devices. And it's something I wanted to kind of pass along as my big aha moment that we kind of had last year, because when the entire world shut down in March and April, behavior trends changed and user trends changed. And one of the biggest things that I've been having the most difficulty in the past years in terms of device targeting with YouTube is getting them to show up on big screens. I would be lucky if 1 out of every 10 impressions showed up on a connected TV screen. Then by May of last year, I was delivering more than 50% of our YouTube impressions on big screen TVs. And that is one of the biggest things that I could say, that if you're looking for an option to find a low CPM, a low cost option to get your ad creative and your business on a big screen TV, here's what I would recommend doing. Get a great solid 15-second commercial. Now, you don't need to spend $10,000, $50,000 on this. These can be animated versions. These can be done, just correctly on your iPhone. I would recommend finding and partnering with someone with maybe a little bit more sophisticated of a camera, and then use this campaign setting, TrueView for Reach. You can use TrueView for Reach within Google. Now, Google will tell you, and their YouTube teams will tell you, you should be just doing more TrueView for Action, TrueView Shoppable, more conversion-oriented campaigns. And we actually found the performance between the two is negligible at best, and really is just meant to show kind of some more traffic variables, some more traffic, and some maybe some last touch conversions along the way. But we've actually found that the TrueView for Reach actually has the most impact on eyeballs and throughout. And the way we kind of measure this is, obviously, we set up these TrueView for Reach campaigns. We set them to serve 100% on connected TV devices. And then we set up our YouTube viewer audience in our AdWords and be able to track that against as an observational audience on our brand campaigns. You'll be surprised to see just how many people will start searching for your website, both from an organic or a brand SEM perspective, on just a short run of connected TV YouTube. And I think that that is something that is now going to be, I believe, a trend that is going to be carrying in to the subsequent years, because I think it's created a habit where people are now more comfortable utilizing YouTube on a large screen device. And then the more and more subscribers they get to their premium YouTube service, YouTube TV, the more and more it's going to be more applicable for people to be watching YouTube content, especially ad-supported YouTube content, on a large screen device. And it's just a way for you to be able to deliver and deploy directly from your laptop on behalf of your clients and for your own business along the way. And again, the CPMs that we've been able to achieve have been in the $6 to $7 range, which if you're kind of measuring that out, think about a TV commercial might be $25 to $30 CPM range. So you're getting all the benefits of YouTube on a large screen and a large screen creative campaign for a fourth of the price. And it's just something that Google is hasn't really quite found a way of selling into just yet, but it's a great way that I know my clients have been scaling over the last year. So
that's awesome, Garrett.
Yeah, YouTube is here to stay, and it's on a big screen, so I highly recommend it. It's kind of cool when you can get it on a big 42-inch screen and not just on a mobile phone device. So Scott, I want to, now I'm not going to burn you with any big questions. I just want to get your ideas. I want to get your ideas on, you went through all 2020 going into 21. What are you kind of on your roadmap for this year, and what you're looking for on behalf of your clients, and some of the trends you're kind of anticipating over the next several months?
Every year when I used to, in the old days, we used to get together in person at Las Vegas and other places, and they were called conferences. And every year when I'd pitch in spring for a fall conference, I would try and find something that was something new, something I knew nothing about. And I volunteered to speak on AMP like an hour after they announced what it was, and I knew nothing about it. And so I like getting in early with new technologies and stuff. And I really think, and I feel like this is the year of mobile. I know this is not the year of VR advertising, but when it is, I'm going to be ready. And so I think augmented reality, virtual reality, the new standalone device from Facebook for $300. I know they sold a lot of those at Christmas, and the advertising opportunities that are going to come up for people. I mean, also in those old days, you used to be able to rank organically for stuff. So I think learning more and more about new advertising opportunities, new paid opportunities, is going to be a good, comfortable place for me. And it also gave me an excuse to purchase a nice VR headset this fall.
Write it off on the taxes. I like it. It's a good plan.
Business and research. I think that's probably one of the biggest areas of opportunity. That's what I've been. My son is marketing. He's a junior in college, and I think that's a good thing to learn about. for the potential future. Also, personalization and stuff in ads, it's just going to become more and more personalized, getting people to opt in, incentivizing them to opt in, and then somehow not bugging them so they stay opted in. I mean, the privacy laws are out of control. Like we're no better than GDPR in California and other states, and it's out of control. It's war on advertisers, which honestly, the old saying is, if it's free, you're the product. I mean, we've known that for years and years and years, and now, sorry, I'm not trying to get political, but the right to be forgotten was the beginning of the end, and it just seems absurd. Protecting us from ourselves is companies' jobs.
Well, and you reminded me of one thing that I've always wanted to be declarative. 2021 is not going to be the year for voice search. I just want to get that out of the way now. If anyone's wondering, it's not going to be the year for voice search. And I think it's been every year that someone in January or February tries to say this is going to be the year of voice search, and then it never comes to fruition. And I can say through every bit of contact information and technology booklet that I have is that they still have yet to figure out a way of processing it in a way that can give you a ranked choice, and it's just not going to be the year to do it. And I want to kind of get your ideas on trends for this coming year. So I think we've talked about some of the issues with Facebook, with some of the changes they're going to be doing. Is there some social media platform or otherwise other connected platform that people should be on the lookout that's kind of starting to bubble underneath the surface and could have some business impacts for people's businesses in 2021?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting that this year, and especially I'm going to talk just a little bit about TikTok, is for brands and for companies who have sort of niche communities or a product or service where they can create content for really specific groups of people. This, I think, is kind of the year or a trend that we'll start seeing where there's opportunities within the platforms, TikTok being one of them, to create really engaging, easy to make content for very specific niche communities and have it be viewed by a very, very qualified targeted audience. So I think that's just something to consider. And I know that there's a lot of our clients who are, looking for those opportunities. And, I think that's just one of them. I think this year we're going to start seeing a lot more just getting really, really solid on what the metrics are around ROI for social media. And for many, many years, it's been, social media is great for building your brand awareness, engagement, being sort of that, not that first or last touch, but that sort of that touch in between of establishing credibility, connecting authentically with customers and prospects, and really giving them the validation or the confirmation and information about your business. And this year, and I think it's been happening over the last year or so, is that social media is going to be able to be more and more quantified. And thinking about social advertising, that I think we'll start seeing more metrics being placed and ROI being placed around what social media can do for brands and businesses. Right. And I guess one other note on video, just when you were talking about YouTube, Garrett, is just to keep in mind that Facebook is the second largest video platform to YouTube. And the algorithms are preferring video content. So if video is not—
What's the second largest, Anna? Can you repeat that about the second largest?
Yeah, Facebook is now the second largest video platform, second to YouTube. So if video has not been or is not part of your plan or budget for 2021, should strongly consider it.
Yeah, I agree. I can speak for our own social media practices here, our paid social practices at Rain. I would say that almost 3/4 of our ad delivery now on Facebook is a video platform or is a video ad. And just the interaction rates and the last touch CPAs that we get off of a video creative versus text or image-based ad is 3, 4, 5x. Now, we have a great creative department that's able to deliver on those assets, but if there's low-cost video applications that you can find out there and have it a part of your stack, I'd highly recommend it. Mike, I love this question, and I wish I had a better answer. The way I'm reading this is, we haven't gotten device stats on voice-capable devices just yet because of the way the voice capabilities that, as I've been explained to actually work, is that it's not creating a voice search for any other different avenue that we found. What I have found is that it basically is a voice to text simulation into a search property. So it still counts that impression through a smart device, through a mobile device, but it hasn't been able to segment out in any of the reporting, be it through Google Analytics, my paid platforms on Google Ads, Search Ads 360, Amazon, whatever it may be. What I do think that this is all related to is this device war in which Amazon and Google have been up. Amazon goes and gets Ring, Google goes and gets Nest. And what they're trying to do there, I believe, is, in Q3 of last year, if you have a Google Merchant Center account, any sort of connected and approved Google Merchant Center account, for the first time, Google has opened up now organic shopping to everyone. So if you have a product feed, if you have an online store, if you have an e-commerce store, and you have Google Merchant Center set up, you can now be a part of their organic shopping ads. Now, on the Google Nest hubs and everything like that, it's a big screen device. What I believe it is Google is going to make its first in-run into an ability to be a legitimate e-commerce partner and an e-commerce platform in the way that Amazon is now for their customers. Now, I don't know if it's going to come with a Prime membership or what the long game is there, but I do know is that because once they open that up past their normal retailers, what we can see now is that now any store with a free Google Merchant Center account can be a part of organic shopping. We haven't seen the down funnel purchase or conversion rates yet. And as we can see, paid to organic, there's probably 5 paid ads to every 1 organic click that we've seen thus far. But we do think that between the Nest products, the large screen devices, be it on Android or Google Wallet, or just in the Google Max hubs, that they're really trying to make an inroad into trying to use their smart devices to elicit people to purchase everyday items in the same way you would try to use a Amazon Prime hub or anything along those lines. So it'd be a toilet paper or toothpaste or the next RC car that you need to get for a last minute birthday present. All of that is really telling us that they want to use that voice to convert it to search, push out those impressions, and really try to drive more people through their e-commerce stores and then divert them the best way they can away from Amazon. And that's just my feeling on where that's trending towards, is everything that Google is doing is all of a sudden it's free for now. And that's what Google's always been: Gmail, Maps, search, until they can figure out a way of absolutely monetizing that. And Google Shopping, I think, is going to be on the platform this year once they kind of work through all the tagging and get the Nest devices fully implemented through a lot of more people's homes. So
I find it interesting that Mike's kids only voice search. The only stats I've seen on voice search, and someone please tell me if this is wrong, but when you look at your search terms in AdWords and you see those long queries that don't even work, aren't those are voice searches, right? That triggered your ad?
That would be my hope, and that's what I would be thinking too. I don't want to put my hand, swear under oath that those are exactly voice searches. But yeah,
it has to be. Nobody would type in. No.
But I've been doing search long enough to see some really crazy long-term stuff before voice search came along. So, but no, I agree with you. I think that the more exasperated ones, and that just kind of speaks towards being more communicative with your metadata and your on-page content. It's a matter of not thinking in terms of 4, 5, 6 of your primary keywords, but making it more conversational within your metadata and your on-page optimizations throughout.
Right, and using and when you say metadata in schema, the right kind of schema, especially for questions. But I think the same things that get you snippets, answer snippets, are the same things that make you more likely to get in on device voice search. Phone voice search just shows you Google results. Well, not on iPhone, but anyway. But the devices, I have a Google Home and Alexa, both, and they're both pretty awful.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I get some mixed results. They keep sending me a new Google speaker every couple months, and now I'm just 1-bedroom apartment. I have 6 of these things. So if they want some intelligence on me, they have it by now. That's for sure. Trish, one of the things, a lot of people are buying more online than they ever have before. Is there something you're looking forward to this year? Is there somewhere you're guiding your clients towards in terms of them really enhancing how people are interacting with their websites, and what you think is going to be the end result of the fact that, for the first big time, people that were never going to be online shoppers are now becoming online shoppers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes back to even old best practices. I mean, when you're doing voice search, or you're, I'm ordering some, I don't trigger her, when I'm ordering, toilet paper from Alexa, it's still, it's still going to show your, at least for Amazon, it's pulling from your listing results. So you still need to be well optimized. You need to look at search terms. You need to have good imagery. So some of those old best practices still reign true. For true, I guess, true voice search, and kind of like to Scott's point, until we have AR or VR, where you can see some way to see what it looks like, I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. I'd beta tested the Amazon Halo, which is interesting because suddenly I started getting size recommendations when I would look at clothing on Amazon, which is based off of data I gave them, which I opted in to give them willingly. But I don't know. I think that's interesting too. That kind of speaks to some of with say Amazon and other places looking at healthcare and offering, OTC prescriptions, and then selling clothing. And then you're ordering your pizza, from across the street. It's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out.
Yeah, data opting in is going to be something that my data ops and analytics team has probably spent the last year of their lives trying to figure out. And it is going to be something where more and more of those bars, every time you go to a website, is asking you a longer and longer question as to what data you will be able to opt into, and how successful that's going to be from a user experience standpoint. I know that every time I go to a new website, particularly on mobile devices, I feel like a third of my screen is now covered up by a cookie opt-in or something along those lines. And our hope in the next 6 months is finding more friendly ways of asking people to allow them to keep your data. And I think that it's building that trustworthiness of your brand to know that if I do hand it over, you're not going to your point, if I buy something to you, I don't want 10,000 remarketing ads after I made that purchase, and being diligent with the data along the way.
Well, and I think it's going to be more difficult with every state being able to implement their own rules. How do you just pick the most? When I went through a GDPR implementation, I just pick the most restrictive and go with that. Or if I know a couple times now, sites I visit on a regular basis, it's almost impossible for me on mobile to touch the opt-in or to accept cookies. So I think that's something, look at how things display on your mobile site too, because if someone, even if they want to opt in, you can't get rid of that screen in order to be able to view things. That's really disruptive to your experience too.
Scott, how are you approaching that from a user experience standpoint when you're implementing elements on websites as far as the opt-in goes, and the kind of the information that you're being forced to display in order to get that information?
For the smaller clients, which makes up the majority, I tell them don't worry about it until someone gets sued. Why inconvenience your customers? I mean, honestly, nobody's going to sue the plumber over GDPR stuff. If they want to invest in it and make it inconvenient and annoying for their visitors just to comply with this law that I believe is bullshit anyway, then by all means, I'll charge you and help you. The larger clients who really are at risk, I think the most important thing that they can worry about is to implement it in a way that's usable. The content or a cumulative layout shift, make it. Some of these sites are so bad when you're reading, but to have your own pop-up cookie box that you want your privacy policy annoy customers to the point where you can't even see the small X in the top right corner because it's either not there or it's the same color as the background and people don't know to show it. I'm sure we've all seen those annoying things. So in that sense, the as minimal a pop-up as minimal a notice and pop-up as you're willing to provide. And like you said, 2/3 of the screen, sometimes the whole screen is taken up with this notice. That's ridiculous. Have an okay and a link to it if you want to read the whole thing, because nobody's going to read the whole thing anyway. So to force them to scroll to the bottom to hit accept is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So from a user, I always tell people to look at it from a user standpoint, because they're going to suffer a lot more from annoyed users than they are from somebody coming after them for non-compliance.
That's great. That's a good point. We don't advise anyone to do anything illegal on these calls. We just want to make sure that that's clear. But take it.
That's not illegal.
No.
California does not have the right to tell me what I have on my website, and they don't. And I'd like to see them try to like. It's just like HIPAA in the beginning. How long did HIPAA go? 30 some months before there was even where there were any claims. It's these laws with no teeth and questionable in the first place that take a while for someone to even get charged.
Spoken like a true Oregonian. I like it. And I want to go, we got a question around influencers and their effects on both paid and organic. I want to ask, have you had some experience in the most recent year around testing influencers, and have you seen any impacts on performance?
Yes, I saw that question. It's a great question. And in the past year, so I think, influencer marketing is going to continue to grow. The way in which it can be used effectively depends on, the size and the type of business. And so, David, I know you come from a larger brand, Trailblazers. I know we have smaller business owners here in the virtual room as well. And I guess in general, I would say that it's very difficult to get influencers who have a strong following or who will be impactful without having some sort of paid contract with them. And so typically there is a process to go through when you're working with potential influencers to outline all of the sort of requirements and the terms of that arrangement. The one thing, or a couple things that I'll just say on that too, and it's around trust and content and authenticity on social media, that it's really that consumers are really want brands and businesses, big and small, to be as transparent as possible. So making sure that you select or establish long-term relationships with influencers or partners who align really closely with your brand values is really important. And then of course, being really transparent that this is an influencer, it's an advertisement on their end as well. And for smaller, and I think actually for larger businesses too, there's sort of that micro influencer who I think you're probably familiar with, and it's folks who have less than 10,000 followers approximately, or even, I would say between several thousand to 10,000 followers, who aren't going to be the big celebrities, but who have a really core, engaged niche following, can be really effective if you have certain target audiences that you really want to get in front of. Those can actually be way more effective from what we've seen than going after sort of a larger sort of mid-tier or top-tier celebrity as an influencer. And oftentimes with micro influencers, there's ways to sort of incentivize that don't cost a lot of money. And especially if there's sort of a values alignment with that person and your organization, it can be really beneficial both ways. I do think we'll continue to see influencers growing in 2021. I think we'll also see influencers starting to be more effective for B2B businesses as well as B2C. But I hope I sort of answered that question. Concerns, I think it's mostly just about transparency and making sure that you're being as authentic and open and honest with your customers as possible.
And as far as the medium to larger size businesses on here today, one of the biggest things that came our way, and we've started some early conversations around, is Google also has their own influencer program now. They call it Brand Connect. And Brand Connect is basically Google's mediation between companies and advertisers and agencies in order to connect them with all the major YouTube influencers that are out there. It does have some social media implications now. The minimums are much higher, but the nice thing is it's more of a concierge type service when it comes to here's my client. They cater, they over-index on males 25 to 34, 35 to 44. They're into sports, they're into gaming, so on and so forth. And then they're able to go out there and find us kind of a wider range between there's football players like Juju Smith-Schuster on the Steelers that they brought to us. There's some gamers out there that apparently stream to 10 million people every week. And so if you're in a kind of a larger size kind of organization, you feel like you can meet some of the higher commitments within Google, I would reach out to all those that are out there and absolutely see about your options within Brand Connect as well. It's something new. I don't know if they're ever going to get into a place where they're, to Anna's point, providing us with micro influencers, but it is kind of that bridge in order to get that authenticity and some of that transparency, and to make sure that there is someone behind your back to make sure that all contractual obligations are met in and throughout.
I just want to throw in that I think, oh, sorry, go ahead, Anna.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say one other quick note that I thought I'd mention just on the influencer front is trying to establish longer term partnerships with your influencers versus just a one-off. Audiences typically like to see sort of that partnership, and it's actually more authentic that way than seeing, a random influencer show up one time and another person another time. If you can establish sort of a longer term partnership, that's great too.
Yep.
And I was just going to throw in that Cameo, where you can like hire Snoop Dogg to do your ad. I think that's so cool. It's a great idea. And I think there's lots of micro. I've never used it, can't vouch for it, but I think it's really slick and sure seems affordable.
Yeah. All right. So as we enter our final few minutes here, I want to make sure that I get everyone's on the panel's final thought. Here is just, and I'll just go 1 through 4 here. Scott, what's the one big thought you wanted to kind of leave with everyone on the call today as they enter 2021?
Sure. Yeah, the one big thought is that I don't have one. Honestly, stuff changes so fast. I'm as a marketer and I want to continue in the future. The market of marketers is so crowded. Setting myself apart by learning about really niche topics that interest me is how I hope my mini agency can survive. And everything's becoming so specialized that shops that try and do it all are doing a disservice to clients. And I think that's, behave ethically, it would be the 2-word answer. As an agency.
That's why I don't do organic search anymore. Trish, over to you.
I think, like to Scott's point, things are getting more specialized, but are getting smaller. Even something like conferences, I think we'll see smaller conferences that are maybe in person by the end of next year, but no large industry ones. But I think that personalization, that smaller focus, that even when it talks to your influencers, speaking directly to your core target audience and understanding who that is, I think that's going to be a big takeaway for 2021.
Anna?
Yeah, I think we just closed out a wild and crazy year, and 2021 is starting off pretty exciting as well. And I think that for businesses and brands, it's just taking time to think about the sort of environment, the landscape that we're in, and how your business or brand aligns with some of the things that are happening, and when it makes sense to speak from the heart, or as a business from based on your values, and being able to communicate about things that are going on around racial justice, the political climate, and just being, like Scott said, an ethical, values-oriented business.
For me, I wanted to actually talk about mobile page load speeds, but those are all nice content. It is really one of those things where if I've hinted at mobile a lot today, it's just because of everything that I've been able to read over the last 6 months, especially. I think when the world had kind of shut down in Q2 and Q1 last year, we definitely saw some desktops come back on. But I think as things quote unquote open back up again, and people leave their houses, or just using that as a second screen experience, and have become more and more comfortable with introducing the buying process into their mobile life, One of the biggest things is that I can see is the delta that exists between load speeds on desktop and mobile have gone ever long. And as that traffic starts to shift, we've seen conversion rates come down. And I would say that there's free tools out there. Google has a lot of mobile site speed measurement tools, and make sure that you're doing everything you can to get those mobile speeds up, because that is going to have the greatest last touch effect on your conversion rates and then throughout the remainder of the year. So I want to thank Anna Madill, Trish Carey, Scott Hendison for joining the panel today, and for everyone for participating today. One quick announcement we have, and we noticed they're on the call today, and I'll move this over to Anna, but we're excited to announce our new 2021 Charity of Choice. As everyone knows, SEMpdx selects a charity of choice every year in order to support through our members and through our fundraising efforts, both in Engage and our monthly events, and to really highlight their voices. And I know they're on the call with us today, and we really want to celebrate Elevate Oregon as the next selection. And Anna, I want to kind of pass it over to you, and you can kind of give us the download on Elevate Oregon and why we chose them to support them in this upcoming year.
Yeah, and first of all, for all the members on the call, just want to say thank you for those of you who submitted nonprofits to be selected for our charity of choice this year. We really appreciated it. Every nonprofit who was not selected, we made a $100 donation to the nonprofit in support of their good work. With a vote, we selected Elevate Oregon as our charity of choice. We're really excited to be working with them. We believe they're doing some really great work in the community, supporting and empowering youth through a year-round mentoring program, which is helping to raise graduation rates, post-secondary enrollment, and is really offering students the tools they need to become future leaders in our region. Right now, they work specifically in the Park Rose School District, but they have really sort of fine-tuned a model that as they grow and evolve, they hope to share and bring to other school districts across the state, which is really inspiring. We're excited to be working with them and supporting them with digital marketing expertise, support, and of course, through dollars as well. Over the course of the year, SEMpdx will match up to $2,500 of member donations throughout the year. So if their mission inspires you or resonates with you, we invite you to check them out and support them.
And I believe we have someone from, and I apologize, we haven't been able to meet prior to this, but if you give a brief introduction, I think your name on there is Elevate Oregon. So it's nice for you to join us today, and we're really excited to be partnering with you over the next year.
Yeah, my name is Paul Morris. I'm the Deputy Director at Elevate Oregon. And we were so thrilled and excited to get the announcement from Anna. We're really looking forward to doing more digitally and doing it better. The work that we're doing, especially amplifying the voices of the students that we work with and the community that we serve. We have a kickoff meeting scheduled for later this month with a few people. And so this is we're finally in a place where we know that we can do it. And having the help and guidance of people involved with SEMpdx is really going to allow us to get there, to better propel our mission and vision forward and further, which in turn has an absolute direct impact on our ability to serve students of color. More than 95% of the students that we serve are students of color living at or below the poverty line in outer Northeast Portland. And so the work that we'll all be able to do together, the advice that we'll be able to get, the information we'll be able to bring back into our work from this group will absolutely have a direct impact. And we couldn't be more thrilled and grateful to have been selected this year.
Wow. We're honored just to have you a part of it. We're honored to be partnering up with such a great organization, and something that I can speak for the rest of the board and say we're all very committed towards and very inspired by the goals and what we're going to be able to do this year. So for all the members on the call today, there'll be links in all the newsletters. And of course, you can always go to elevateoregon.org and you can find out all the great work that they're completing on our behalf. And of course, there'll be regular members on our virtual events. And then, Hope Springs, hopefully we can have them featured at an in-person event before the end of 2021. But I will leave everyone with that. Thank you for joining us today for our Future of Digital Marketing 2021 panel. Be sure to sign up for our February event on local SEO, and then we'll be announcing some new virtual events very soon. But everyone have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for participating in the SEMpdx virtual events.